sorry if you addressed this last night, but thinking in the lineup change with Anthony, what he gives you, do you like what Dewan gave you off the bench last night?
Well, I thought both guys contributed very nicely. I think Anthony Lawrence gives us an additional ball handler and three-point threat. Dewan gives us that length and athletic ability and a good target near the basket.
Have you felt at all this year like the lack of ideal depth that you would want has been hurtful? Are there any moments where you think to yourself, even though there was nothing you could do about it, if we had Manu, if we had DeAndre Burnett, does that ever come to mind?
Well, I can't say that we like being so young. I think the young guys have done a great job, but my druthers would be to have some older guys. I think that's been our success when Kenny Kaji, Reggie Johnson, Julian Gamble were here, and Trey McKinney-Jones and Duran Scott. We had a very strong senior class last year with Angel Rodriguez, Sheldon McClellan, Tanya Jacuri, and Yvonne Cruz-Uceda. We had a very strong senior class. We have only 2 seniors this year. They're both doing a great job, but there's only 1 junior. So the rest of the guys are really young and inexperienced, and we would much prefer to be the older, experienced team, because there's so many things you have to learn in college. I don't think high school basketball players have any idea as to how complicated game preparation is from game to game in college. You have teams like a Virginia that plays the packing man-to-man. Then you play a team like Syracuse that plays a 2-3 zone. Very, very different than other 2-3 zones. Then you have a team like Louisville that presses and traps. Then you have a team like Carolina that plays multiple defenses. I mean, every game preparation is so different. When I talk to our players now about preparing for North Carolina, the young guys are going to be so surprised. I have 20 things written down that are different. And those guys are like, think we're guessing. You know, oh, you think they might do that? No, this is what they're going to do. They've been doing it for 60 years.
How have you seen them handle that? We've talked about everything they're doing on the floor and things like that, but how are they handling the freshmen, that mental aspect of game to game?
Well, I think it's challenging for them. And it's not just the freshmen, because Buka is a very inexperienced player, Anthony Lawrence. Those guys, to them, the game should be simple, and I should just be able to play. But the game is made complicated by strategy. So what worked in one game won't necessarily work in the next game. So why are we doing something different? Well, because the opponent is different. And, for example, against Boston College, our emphasis was on trying to defend their guards, because their guards are great scorers. You know, Bowman had 10, and Turner had 15, and Robinson had 27. They're really good perimeter players. But their big guys don't score a lot. Now playing against North Carolina, who have like 4 guys that can score their brains out in around the basket, and they throw it to them constantly, screen for them constantly. So certain things repeat themselves. So when we're preparing for Boston College, it's not the same preparation for Carolina. We need time. We need time for them to understand, why am I so much a helper in one game and now the primary defender where other people have to help me? That's a very uphill climb for a freshman, because he didn't have to do that in high school.
Jason Capel mentioned on the Fox broadcast last night that Dewan took a bunch of mid-range shots in advance of the game. Has he been working at that consistently? Where else do you want to see growth over the next couple of months?
Dewan's been working on his offensive game since day one. He's worked with me and Coach Caputo and our staff diligently before games, when classes were not in session during the Christmas break. He was coming in early and shooting, working on his ball handling, working on his passing skills. And he's a very willing student of the game. And I've been very, very impressed with his focus, his work ethic, his, what's the word I'm looking for? His hunger to want to get better.
The, how raw at this point is Rodney? What does he have to show you basically to become a rotation guy?
Rodney just needs time to get stronger and in better shape. You know, he has to be able to really handle the physicality of the game. And the way we look at it is he came in bench pressing, I'll say just around 200 pounds, but he weighs 250. He needs to be benching 280, 300, or maybe he doesn't have to bench quite so much, but his legs, maybe he has to be able to squat with a lot of weight, because it's really in that area, you got to be stronger than the other guy. We're facing Kennedy Meeks tomorrow. He's a monster because he's basically bigger and stronger than the guy he goes against every night. John Collins did that to us. It's a real concern because John Collins had his career high against us because we could not keep him from scoring in the A area. And the A area to us is inside the paint from block to block, right near the arc. And Carolina's the best in the country of getting the ball there.
North Carolina, obviously their tempo is something they've done for a while. What kind of challenges does that present, and is it something that you feel like the guys are comfortable running?
We have a term for it. We call it the 5-second layup. And whether you make a basket or not, even if you make a basket, they're going to take the ball out of bounds, inbound, and try to race up the court and beat you down the court in the first 5 seconds. And because of their speed, athletic ability, and high level of player, they're able to do that, in my opinion, better than anybody else in the country over the history of the last 50 years. That has not changed. The only other college program I know that even compares to that is Michigan State. So the 5-second layup has to be your number one priority. Stop it, because there is nothing else if they just keep scoring at the rim. And our guys, hopefully in these next 2 days, can get that clear picture in their mind and stop it. I know in 2006, my George Mason team played Carolina in the round of 32, and we gave up a bunch of those 5-second layups before the first TV timeout. We trailed 16-4, and then we didn't give up any more the rest of the game. Our players really understood, man, we do have to sprint back every single time. And when you don't give them those layups and they have to run offense, you have a better chance of guarding them. The only problem in facing a team like Carolina is they're also the best offensive rebounding team in the country. And they're getting a lot of points off of second chance opportunities. So you have to have a team that can really rebound at their defensive end. And you have to have a lot of guys who will do it.
Jim, where do you think have to be better as a group to be able to climb over 500 in the conference?
Right now, the challenge for us is to reduce our turnovers so that we don't give our opponent too many opportunities to get easy baskets off of our own mistakes. Our half-court defense has been very respectable. But if you're turning the ball over 12, 15, 18 times, and the opponent is scoring 20 to 25 points off of those turnovers, and we don't force a lot of turnovers ourselves, there's a tremendous imbalance. And it's hard to make those up. The second thing is, which we did a terrific job last night, is you got to make your free throws. Because if you don't make your free throws and the other team is making theirs, that's another phase of the game that they're winning. And then the next part is half-court offense and half-court defense, and we're pretty good at the defensive end, but offensively, we need to do a whole lot better. We don't have a lot of jump shooters. If I asked you who are our 3 or 4 best jump shooters, 1 or 2 names would come to mind, and then after that, you'd be hard-pressed.
Jim, you mentioned how much more effective you've been when you do multiple ball screens. Last night, obviously, you saw that more. Did you like what you've seen with that, I guess, in particular, with the selection of last night?
Well, several different ways you can score. 1, beat the other team down the floor. And 2, you recognize what kind of defense the opponent is in. And if they're pressuring out, like certain teams in our league do, how quickly you can attack the basket, because their defense is not predicated on defending the basket, it's predicated on defending your passes. So you can attack pretty quickly there. However, if you're playing a team like Boston College last night, who more packs it in, if you try to attack right away, you're likely to charge or turn it over because their players are already in the lane. So what you have to do is space the floor and space them out. When you throw the ball one side, you got to bring it to the second side and then maybe back to the third side before there's any openings. And if you saw some of Jaquan Newton's layups, driving layups, they were because the ball moved from Davon to Bruce to Anthony Lawrence to Davon Reed to back to Jaquan, and then all of a sudden he's driving to the basket because the defenders had to guard the basket, then get outside and guard a 3, and then guard the other side. And the more you recognize how to attack a certain defense, the better you're going to be at attacking it.
Jim, I know obviously you want them to take one game at a time. That's what you got to do in the ACC. But are you at the point in the season yet where you talk to them about the resume, about certain wins and things like that, or do you just kind of leave it to them?
Oh, we talk about it a little bit, but the focus is really on the next opponent.
Wanted to just ask you briefly, since I haven't had a chance, about Likes and Lonnie Walker. With Likes' size, does that limit him at all? He's obviously a high-end point guard prospect, or is he able to overcome that and do everything you need as a point guard from what you've seen in high school?
Well, certainly from what we've seen, we think he can be a terrific player at the college level because he's very fast, very quick, very athletic, and with a lot of basketball skill. Plus, he's a great competitor, and he's proven it at the high school level. No, he's not playing against weak teams in high school. He probably plays in the toughest high school basketball league in the country. And the guys he goes against are all high major players.
And with Walker, we've obviously seen the dunks on tape, other aspects of his game that have made him such a highly rated player.
Well, it's his size, athletic ability, and skill set. He can really shoot the ball. He's great in the open court. I love watching him play in the open court. I've told him over and over again, he's like Usain Bolt. If he catches an outlet pass, it's a race to the rim. And you better be able to sprint to try to stop him because he takes off and he's gone. He's like the road runner. Beep, beep. Whew.
Thanks so much.